I'll write a compelling 800-word story for Part 1, The Hunters in third-person style using simple English and Korean names. Here's the story. The large spaceship hovered silently above Earth. Inside, 6 aliens from the planet Kazan gathered around a circular table. They belonged to the Kalavi species, tall beings with pale blue skin and 4 arms. Their leader, Taiho, stood at the head of the table. "We have hunted on 30 planets this cycle," said Taiho. He touched a screen, showing images of strange creatures from different worlds. "None have given us a true challenge. The Kalavi were once mighty predators on their home planet. Over thousands of years, they developed advanced technology and no longer needed to hunt for food. But hunting remained important in their culture. They traveled across the galaxy, seeking new and dangerous creatures to test their skills." Taiho looked at his hunting team. There was Jinho, the weapons master who carried dozens of specialized tools. Beside him sat Yunha, their chief tracker who could follow any trail. Across from them was Dongyun, the pilot and navigation expert. Next to him was Sunmi, the biology specialist who studied target species. Finally, there was Kiwoo, the youngest and newest member of their elite hunting group. "I grow bored," said Taiho, his 4 hands moving in patterns showing frustration. "The last 3 hunts were too easy. We need something new." Sunmi raised one of her hands. "I have found something interesting." She pressed buttons on her wrist. Device and a hologram of Earth appeared above the table. "This planet has many different environments and thousands of species, but most interesting are the humans." The hologram changed to show humans walking in cities, driving vehicles, and living their daily lives. "They don't look dangerous," said Kiwoo, sounding disappointed. "Not at first glance," Sunmi agreed. "They aren't physically strong compared to other species we've hunted. They don't have claws or sharp teeth. They can't fly or breathe underwater, but they are clever and adaptable. They've survived many challenges on their planet." Yuna studied the images carefully. "Where should we hunt them?" Sunmi zoomed the hologram to show a large forest area. "This region has fewer humans and more wilderness. It's called Northern Eye. Michigan in their language. There are lakes, forests, and mountains. Good hunting ground." Taiho walked around the table, looking at the hologram from all angles. "What weapons do they have?" "Simple projectile weapons, some energy weapons, but nothing advanced like ours," Jinho replied. "Their technology is primitive compared to ours." Taiho nodded slowly. "We will hunt here. We'll start with regular humans to understand their capabilities. Then we'll seek their strongest warriors for a true challenge." The team prepared their equipment. They put on special suits that could change color to blend with surroundings. Jinho distributed weapons, energy blasters, stun nets, and sharp blades made from materials unknown on Earth. Dongyun piloted their smaller hunting craft down through Earth's atmosphere at night. The ship had cloaking technology, making it invisible to human eyes and radar. They landed in a clearing deep in the Michigan forest. "Remember our hunting code," Taiho said as they prepared to leave the ship. "We hunt for honor and challenge, not cruelty. Quick deaths for those who don't provide sport. We take only trophies from worthy opponents." The hunting party stepped onto Earth soil for the first time. The air smelled different from any planet they had visited before. They activated their suits, becoming nearly invisible against the trees and undergrowth. Yuna crouched down, touching the ground with her lower hands while her upper hands adjusted scanning equipment. "Many humans have walked here. This is a path they use." "Good," said Taiho. "We'll observe first, learn their patterns." For 3 days, the Kalavi hunters watched the humans in the forest. They saw families camping, friends hiking, and lone travelers enjoying nature. They studied how humans moved, how they communicated, and how they reacted to danger. On the 4th night, they decided to take their first human. They chose a man, camping alone by a small lake. Jinho fired a tranquilizer dart, and the man fell unconscious instantly. They took him back to their ship to study him more closely before releasing him far away, with no memory of what happened. "Too easy," complained Kiwoo. "These humans are weak. Patience," said Taeho. "We're still learning." On the 6th day, their sensors detected something unusual, a human living alone in a cabin deep in the forest. This human moved differently from the others. He seemed more aware of his surroundings, more connected to the forest. "This one might provide more sport," Taeho said, watching the man through their advanced viewing equipment. "We'll watch him for another day, then make him our primary target." What the Kalavi hunters didn't know was that they had arrived just 3 days before the full moon, and the man in the cabin had a secret that would turn their sport hunt into a fight for survival. Do-hyun checked his traps as the sun began to set. For 15 years he had lived in this cabin deep in the Michigan woods, away from people and their questions. He liked his job as a park ranger. It let him stay close to nature and keep his distance from others. Something felt wrong in his forest. 3 hikers had gone missing in the past week. The official search parties found nothing, but Do-hyun noticed things they missed. Strange footprints that didn't match any animal he knew. Broken branches too high for a bear. A smell in the air that made the hair on his neck stand up. Another day without answers, he muttered to himself as he walked back to his cabin. His senses had always been sharper than most people's, but lately they seemed even more sensitive. He could smell rain coming days before it arrived. He could hear the heartbeats of rabbits hiding in bushes. It always happened as the full moon approached. Inside his small wooden home, Do-hyun checked his calendar. 3 more days until the full moon. 3 more days until he would need to lock himself in the reinforced basement room he had built beneath the cabin. As he made dinner, he didn't notice the 4 pairs of eyes watching him through the window. The Kalavi hunting party had been observing him for 2 days now. "This one moves differently," whispered Yuna, the tracker. "See how he checks the wind? How he listens to the forest? He knows something is wrong." Taeho nodded. "He will make better sport than the others." Back on their ship, the aliens studied the information they had gathered about Do-hyun. "His heart rate is slower than other humans," said Sunmi, looking at biological readings. "His body temperature is higher, his senses seem enhanced. Perhaps he is what humans call a soldier or a warrior," suggested Kiwoo, the youngest hunter. "We should take him now." Taeho shook his head. "Not yet. I want to see more of his abilities first." The next morning, Do-hyun found strange tracks near his cabin. They didn't look human or animal. The pattern was like nothing he had seen before. He took photos and measurements, then followed the trail until it disappeared at the edge of a small clearing. "What are you?" he whispered to himself. That afternoon, while patrolling the eastern trail, Do-hyun found a hiker's backpack torn open. All food was gone, but the water bottle and clothes remained untouched. Next to it was another set of the strange tracks. As he examined the area, he felt watched. The feeling had followed him all day. He stood slowly and sniffed the air. Something was there, but he couldn't see it. "I know you're there," he called out. "Show yourself." In the trees above, Jinho almost dropped his weapon in surprise. No human had detected them before. That night, the aliens decided it was time to act. They would capture this unusual human and study him before the real hunt began. Do-hyun woke suddenly at midnight. Something had triggered his security system. He grabbed his rifle and moved silently to the window. Outside, he saw nothing, but his instincts screamed danger. The door burst open. Do-hyun fired his rifle, but the bullet seemed to hit an invisible wall. Then he saw them. Tall blue figures materializing as their camouflage suits failed. "What the hell?" Do-hyun gasped. Taeho stepped forward, all 4 arms visible now. "Impressive," he said in perfect English. "You sensed us. No other human." As Do-hyun backed away, his heart racing, the rifle felt useless in his hands. These weren't people, they weren't even from Earth. "What are you? What do you want?" he demanded. "We are hunters," Taeho replied simply. "And you are prey." Jinho fired a net made of shimmering energy. Do-hyun dove aside with unexpected speed. He crashed through his side window and rolled into the forest. The aliens followed, impressed by his quickness. Do-hyun ran deeper into the woods. His night vision was better than most humans, another strange gift that came with his curse. He could see in the darkness while the aliens had to use technology. For hours he evaded them, using his knowledge of the forest. He crossed streams to hide his scent. He doubled back on his trail. He used every trick he knew. By dawn, he had circled back to his cabin. He quickly gathered emergency supplies and fled again. He needed to survive 2 more days. 2 more days until the full moon. What the aliens didn't understand was that Do-hyun wasn't running because he was afraid of them. He was running because he was afraid of what he would become, and what he might do to them. That night, as the nearly full moon rose, Do-hyun felt the familiar pain beginning. His bones ached. His skin burned. It was starting already, a day early. The stress of being hunted was triggering the change sooner than normal. "Not yet," he whispered desperately. "Please, not yet." But the moon did not listen, and the hunters were closing in. Do-hyun ran through the darkening forest as pain shot through his body. The almost full moon peeked through the clouds, sending silver light filtering between the trees. Each beam that touched his skin felt like fire. It wasn't supposed to happen yet. The full transformation came with the full moon. But the stress of being hunted had triggered the change early. Behind him, the alien hunters followed. They moved silently through the trees, their 4-armed bodies blending with the shadows. Minji, the team's sensor specialist, studied the readings on her wrist device. "His body temperature is rising rapidly," she whispered to Taiho, heart rate increasing. "Strange energy signatures I've never seen before." Taiho signaled the hunting party to spread out. "Surround him. He's heading for the valley." Do-hyun stumbled as another wave of pain hit him. His vision blurred, then sharpened to impossible clarity. He could see every leaf, every insect in the darkness. He could smell the aliens now, their strange metallic scent carried on the wind. His fingernails began to lengthen, hardening into claws. "Not here," he gasped. "Not now." He reached the small valley and collapsed beside a stream. Moonlight reflected, off the water, bathing him in silver light. There was no more running. The change was coming too fast. The hunting party formed a circle around the clearing, watching from the trees. Jinho readied his capture net while Yuna prepared tranquilizer darts. "Something is happening," Ki-woo said, his voice filled with confusion. Do-hyun's body twisted on the ground. His clothes tore as his muscles expanded. Bones cracked and reformed. His face lengthened into a snout filled with sharp teeth. Dark fur spread across his skin. What had been a man now became something ancient and terrible, a creature of claw and fang born from humanity's oldest nightmares. "What is this?" Taeho whispered, all 4 of his hands gripping his weapon tighter. The werewolf rose on powerful hind legs, now standing nearly 8 feet tall. It threw back its head and howled, a sound that froze the blood of even these experienced hunters. Sunmi frantically checked her data. "This isn't in any Earth species record. The cellular structure is changing at the molecular level. It's impossible." "Take it now," Taiho ordered. Jinho fired his energy net. It wrapped around the werewolf, glowing, blue against its dark fur. For a moment, the creature was trapped. Then with a roar, it flexed massive muscles and tore through the net as if it were paper. Yunha fired 3 tranquilizer darts. Each one found its mark in the werewolf's chest. The beast pulled them out and snapped them like twigs. Its yellow eyes scanned the trees until they locked onto Yunha's position. With speed no human could match, the werewolf leaped across the clearing. Its claws tore through Yunha's protective suit. Only her quick reaction saved her life as she teleported back 20 feet using her emergency device. "Standard weapons," Taiho shouted. Energy blasts lit up the night. The werewolf dodged most, moving with impossible agility. Those that hit seemed to cause only minor burns on its hide. Dongyun activated his hover platform, rising above the trees for a better shot. The werewolf saw him, grabbed a boulder from the stream bed, and hurled it with devastating force. The rock smashed into Dongyun's platform, sending him crashing down through the branches. The hunting party had never faced anything like this. Their technology, superior to anything on Earth, seemed barely effective against this creature that should not exist. The werewolf charged Kiwu next. The young hunter fired repeatedly, backing away in terror. His foot caught on a root, and he fell. The beast was on him in an instant, jaws opening wide. Taiho threw himself between them, slashing. With his vibroblade, the weapon cut a shallow wound across the werewolf's chest. The creature howled in pain and rage, then swatted Taiho aside with one massive paw. The alien leader crashed against a tree trunk 30 feet away. "Retreat!" Taiho gasped into his communicator. Back to the ship. The hunters activated their emergency teleporters. In flashes of blue light, they vanished from the forest. The werewolf stood alone in the moonlight, blood dripping from its wounds, already beginning to heal. It sniffed the air, memorizing the scent of its prey. Then it threw back its head and howled again, not in pain, but in triumph. Inside their ship, the shaken hunters treated their injuries. Taiho stared at the blood sample they had collected when his blade cut the creature. "What is this being?" he asked. Sunmi shook her head. "The human changed into something else. Something not in any of our records. No ordinary hunt anymore," Taiho said quietly. "Now it's survival." As dawn approached, the werewolf retreated deep into a cave. When the first light touched its fur, the transformation reversed. Bones cracked again. Fur receded. Claws became human fingernails. Do-Yun lay naked on the cold stone, exhausted but alive. His mind slowly cleared as the beast retreated inside him. He remembered everything. The hunters, the fight, their fear. For the first time in 15 years, he smiled after a transformation. His curse had become a weapon, and the hunters would return. He was sure of it. 2 more nights of the full moon remained. The spaceship hummed quietly as the Kalavi hunters gathered in the medical bay. Taiho sat on an examination table, while a healing device sealed the deep claw marks across his chest. No prey had ever wounded him so severely. "What was that creature?" he asked, his voice tight with pain. Yunki, their weapons specialist, studied the blood sample they had collected. "It appears human at its core, but with radical biological differences. The cells can transform, rebuilding the entire body structure." "Impossible," said Minji, looking over his shoulder at the analysis. "No species can change form so completely." "Yet we all saw it happen," Taiho reminded them. "A human became a monster before our eyes." The ship's computer projected images of the transformation, captured by their suits' recording devices. They watched again as Do-Yun's body twisted and changed in the moonlight. "The moon seems to trigger it," observed Sunwoo, the eldest hunter. "Earth has many stories about creatures that change with the moon cycle." Taiho pressed buttons on the table's edge. A holographic display appeared showing information from Earth's data networks. "Search for human transformation moon," he commanded. The results appeared instantly. Stories from many human cultures described people who changed into beasts under the full moon. "Werewolves," read Taiho. "Humans who transform into wolf-like creatures. Most humans consider these stories to be fiction." "Clearly not all fiction," said Jiwoo, who was still shaking from the encounter. "That thing nearly killed me." Taiho stood up, testing his partially healed wounds. "We have 2 choices. We can leave this planet and find easier prey elsewhere. Or we can continue the hunt and claim the greatest trophy of our careers." The hunters looked at each other. Their pride had been wounded worse than their bodies. "We hunt," they said together. In the forest, Do-Hyun gathered his emergency supplies. From a hidden cache, he had stashed food, water, and clothes in several locations throughout the woods for situations just like this. The transformation had come early and caught him unprepared. As he pulled on fresh clothes, he planned his next move. These aliens were hunters. They had technology beyond anything he had seen. They could become invisible, teleport short distances, and their weapons fired energy instead of bullets. But he had advantages too. He knew these woods better than anyone. His senses were enhanced even in human form. And for 2 more nights, he would have the strength and speed of the wolf. "They're not leaving," he said to himself. "So I need to make them leave." From his cache, he took a hunting knife and binoculars. He couldn't match their technology, but he could use their pride against them. By mid-afternoon, Do-hyun had found the alien's ship. It sat in a small clearing, hidden by some kind of energy field that bent light around it. He could see it only because his enhanced senses detected the subtle distortion in the air. He circled the area carefully, noting that 2 aliens guarded the entrance while the others were away, probably searching for him. When darkness fell, Do-hyun moved closer to the ship. The moon was rising, nearly full. He could feel the change approaching, his muscles already becoming stronger. But he fought to remain human a little longer. The 2 guards, Sunwoo and Minji, stood at alert. Their sensors swept the area continuously. "Movement to the east," Minji said suddenly. A rock had fallen from a small cliff. Both guards turned toward the sound. From the opposite direction, Do-hyun dashed forward. The change was beginning, giving him supernatural speed. Before the guards could react, he slashed at their equipment with his knife, damaging the device that allowed them to teleport. Minji fired her weapon, but Do-hyun was already gone, disappearing into the trees. The energy blast hit nothing. "Alert! The others!" shouted Sunwoo. "The prey has become the hunter." Throughout the night, Do-hyun stalked the alien hunting parties. As his transformation progressed, he became more wolf than man, but he kept enough human intelligence to be strategic. He separated the hunters from each other. He disabled their equipment when possible. He left tracks to lead them into traps, then attacked from behind. By midnight, 3 of the hunters were injured and returned to their ship. Only Taiho and Jiwoo remained in the forest, determined to capture the werewolf. "We underestimated this creature," Taiho admitted as they moved cautiously through the trees. "It hunts with both animal instinct and human intelligence." "Look," whispered Jiwoo, pointing ahead. The werewolf stood in a clearing, illuminated by moonlight. It seemed to be waiting for them. "It's a trap," said Taiho. "Of course it's a trap," replied Jiwoo. "But we still must face it." The 2 hunters stepped into the clearing, weapons ready. The werewolf growled, showing teeth that could tear through metal. "Tonight," said Taiho to the beast, "one hunter claims victory." The werewolf seemed to understand. It rose to its full height and roared a challenge that echoed through the forest. The final battle had begun. The final night of the full moon cast long shadows across the forest clearing. Taiho and Jiwoo stood back to back, their advanced weapons aimed at the darkness between the trees. Blood dripped from Taiho's reopened chest wound, but his forearms remained steady. "He's circling us," whispered Jiwoo, "playing with us." A low growl rumbled from everywhere and nowhere. The werewolf had learned how to throw its voice, confusing the alien's directional sensors. "Show yourself," Taiho called out. "Face us with honor." The massive shape of the werewolf appeared on a rocky outcrop 30 feet away. Its yellow eyes gleamed in the moonlight. For a moment, it simply watched them. "It's studying us," Taiho realized, "like we studied humans." The werewolf leaped, covering the distance in a single bound. Jiwoo fired her energy weapon, hitting the creature in midair. The blast slowed it but didn't stop it. The beast landed between the hunters, spinning fast to knock their weapons aside. Taiho activated his energy blade. The blue light reflected in the werewolf's eyes as they circled each other. Jiwoo scrambled for her fallen weapon. "We have hunted 1,000 worlds," Taiho said, as if the creature could understand him. "Never have we found prey like you." The werewolf lunged forward. Taiho slashed with his blade, cutting across the beast's shoulder. At the same time, massive claws tore through his armor. Both fighters backed away, bleeding. The wound on the werewolf began to close almost immediately. Taiho's blood flowed faster. The alien hunter realized the truth then. They could not win this fight. Not here. Not on the creature's home ground, under its special moon. The werewolf attacked again. This time it moved too fast to follow. One moment it was 10 feet away. The next, it had Taiho pinned to the ground. Jaws capable of crushing steel opened wide above the alien's face. "Do it," Taiho said. "Finish the hunt." But the werewolf didn't bite. Instead, it lowered its head until its eyes were inches from Taiho's. In those yellow eyes, Tejo saw something unexpected. Intelligence. Awareness. This wasn't just a beast. The human was still in there, making choices. The werewolf lifted its head and howled long and loud. Then it backed away, allowing Tejo to stand. Jiwoo had her weapon aimed, but Tejo raised his hand to stop her. "No," he said. "The hunt is over. We have lost." The werewolf watched them retreat to their ship. By morning, it had returned to human form. Do-yun stood naked in the sunrise, looking at the clearing where the alien ship had been. Only a circular pattern in the grass showed it had ever existed. 3 months later, in the Great Council chamber on the Kalavi homeworld, Elder Sunwoo presided over an unusual meeting. Tejo stood before the council, still bearing the scars. "From Earth, you wish to classify an entire planet as forbidden hunting ground?" asked Elder Sunwoo. "This has only happened twice in our 10,000-year history." "Earth is not what it seems," Tejo replied. He activated a hologram showing the werewolf transformation. "Humans are not simple prey. Some have abilities we cannot explain or counter." Whispers filled the chamber as the council members watched the recording. "Just one unusual human doesn't warrant forbidding the entire planet," said a council member. "It's not just one," said Tejo. "After our return, I ordered research into Earth's stories and legends. Their planet has always had tales of humans who become something more: werewolves, vampires, skinwalkers. Names differ, but the concept remains: beings who appear human, but harbor something powerful inside." "Stories, myths," dismissed another council member. "We thought so too." Tejo touched his scars. "Until we found one." Elder Sunwoo was silent for a long time. Then she made her decision. Earth will be designated a predator world. No hunting permitted. All Kalavi ships will avoid their solar system. As the council dispersed, Tejo looked at the hologram one last time. The werewolf's howl seemed to echo across the stars. On Earth, Do-hyun returned to his cabin in the Michigan forest. Life had returned to normal. The missing hikers were never found, but the disappearances had stopped. Sometimes at night he would look up at the stars and wonder if the hunters would return. He doubted it. They had learned what he had known his whole life: that sometimes the most dangerous predator is the one that looks like prey until the moment it strikes. What the Kalavi never realized was that Earth had protected itself. Across the planet, other humans lived with similar secrets, abilities and transformations that defied explanation. Separate, they were hidden. Together, they were Earth's unseen guardians against threats from beyond the stars. In the vast database of galactic civilizations, Earth received a new designation: the only known planet classified as predator species. The warning spread to other spacefaring races: beware the humans, they are not what they appear to be. And in the endless night of space, Earth's reputation became its shield.